This is a development, but it also would explain, to me at least, why the White House and House Republicans are working to such great lengths to bury the Epstein files like a mile beneath the earth. I mean, it looks like they're being blackmailed, right? I mean, we're in a Epstein shutdown right now. I went to Washington earlier this week, and the doors to the Capitol were closed because they don't want to swear in a member of Congress who will be the 218th signature that would force a vote on the Epstein files. So they've decided it's better to shut down the country, to not negotiate a way to open this up, than to have whatever the hell is in the Epstein files that's connected to Donald Trump.
Let's talk about that new member of Congress. This is what Adelita Grijalva said in a statement. Earlier this year, 2 Republicans in Florida were sworn in during a pro forma sessions less than 24 hours after their elections. The fact that Southern Arizona is being treated differently raises serious questions about political motivations, especially since I have pledged to be the 218th signature on the discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein files. Do you have a sense, Congressman, of legally how long they can wait before swearing Grijalva in?
I mean, they can wait the whole Congress. It's really up to the Speaker of the House. It's unprecedented. And again, if they're going to keep the Congress shut down, they're keeping the country shut down. So I feel for our troops who are not going to be paid by the 15th of the month, the air traffic controllers who are supposed to make sure planes aren't crashing, FBI agents who are investigating terrorism cases who are also not going to be paid by the 15th of the month. And again, for what? Because you don't want to swear in somebody who's going to force a vote on the Epstein files? Or the Epstein files and protecting Donald Trump that important that everyone else would have to suffer? I mean, it's really remarkable. And I hope that, the country demands that their legislators get back to Washington and reopen Congress.
So, Congress, I just want to be clear there. I want to draw that out a little bit. So this seat that has been won by a Democrat, the Congress is
It wasn't even close, right? It wasn't even close.
So there is nothing that has harmed or impaired her coming to this seat legitimately. There's no question about that back in her state. So the Congress stays closed. That 218th vote is not cast, that she doesn't get seated. At some point, are you saying that they literally could just keep the Congress closed down? Because they have to open it at some point, don't they? I mean, they cannot not seat her. They have to seat her at some point.
You would think, I was knocking on doors yesterday in my district to get Prop 50 passed, the redistricting measure. And everyone is watching the shutdown. And a senior citizen asked me when I was at our door, she said, is my Social Security check going to be delivered? People have questions and they expect us to be in Washington working. And look at the amount of time we've squandered on the clock to negotiate a way out of this shutdown over the last 8 weeks. They sent us home about 2 weeks early in August because they didn't want to have votes on Epstein. And now, they canceled the 2 votes that the 2 voting days we were supposed to have this week because of Epstein. And people are hurting and people are suffering. And it's really going to take pressure from the American people. And 48% of Americans are blaming Republicans for the shutdown, as opposed to 30% who are blaming Democrats. And those numbers have to move Donald Trump. He's a numbers guy. He wants to be liked. He wants to be popular. And I hope it forces him to the table to reopen government.
Well, speaking of the shutdown, also, Mr. Secretary Lutnick, if you are watching or you happen to see this clip, we don't know if you were being glib or trying to send us a message, but blink twice, honey, if you have something to say.
Files. And with the government shutdown, House Republicans are in no rush to vote on this.
Ever in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Joining me now to discuss all of this is Asha Rangappa, former FBI special agent and senior lecturer at Yale University, and Andrew Weissman is back with us. Asha, obviously, not everyone in the Trump administration is singing from the same hymnal. What's your reaction to Cabinet Secretary Lutnick contradicting the DOJ on Epstein?
Well, politically, he clearly stepped in it, right? This whole idea that Epstein was blackmailing people and that's how he made his money, which may or may not be true, is definitely a MAGA conspiracy talking point. But here's the thing, Melissa, is the only way to verify whether that's true is to understand what was actually recovered from the Epstein residence. And, you know, the FBI files would have logs of whatever they recovered and what those videos contained, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it highlights the red herring of the release of the grand jury testimony and how that really has nothing to do with what may potentially be in the FBI's possession.
So, Andrew, among some of the things that may be in the Epstein files is this question that Lutnick has surfaced that there was perhaps a trade with the tapes being exchanged for this sweetheart deal in the Southern District of Florida. First, would that even be possible as part of a prosecution? Is that kind of deal, like tapes for freedom, possible?
Well, it's possible. If you're asking, is it proper? Obviously, it's not proper. It is worth noting that that part is sort of what I'll call, speculation or an educated guess on his part. I'm actually more interested in the, as you put it, Melissa, the first-hand account, where you have somebody who was no problem displaying the massage table and then sort of talking with a sort of wink, wink, nod, nod, openly, though, to Mr. Lutnick, because that belies, for instance, Ghislaine Maxwell saying, oh, I never saw or heard anything untoward going on. The people who knew him well, which includes our current president, saying, oh, I don't know anything, where you have this sort of firsthand account from somebody who has no reason to be lying about it. I'm sure behind the scenes, people are talking to him saying, what in God's green earth made you give that interview? And so he's just gotten someone who's quite open about the lifestyle and is, to use his phrase, the sort of the grossness of it. And so it really belies all the people saying, I didn't know anything.
Asha, Andrew makes a good point. A lot of this is Lutnick speculating, and these are wild claims about which he is speculating, and many of them would require evidence to corroborate. Does this put more pressure on Congress to vote to release the files? And if so, what do we make of Speaker Johnson's reluctance to bring this to a vote?
I think it will definitely increase the pressure to release this. Again, this is someone from inside the tribe who's basically validating for the base that, something that they have been suspecting for a long time. So I think that this is going to be complicated for them. I don't know what to make of the reluctance to release these, Melissa. I mean, this is something, the promise to release these files was literally part of this whole campaign promise for this administration. So this about face is very odd. And on the Acosta point, one thing that I will say is that, nobody talks about this, but there is a 348-page Office of Professional Responsibility investigation into the sweetheart deal that Acosta made. One of the details that's in there, by the way, is that there was, a potential indictment that was moving apace, within the office until Acosta went and met with Epstein's lawyers. And then all of a sudden, the investigation was stalled and put on hold. So I've just been surprised that that piece of it hasn't been pushed on more. And I don't know if that is considered part of the Epstein files, but I would imagine that that would be something that would reveal a lot of information.
So, that's fun.
Okay, so why is it so surprising that he would come out and talk about Jeffrey Epstein?
I guess, what's the reason for him to do it, other than maybe some form of virtue signaling that, unlike people who have shown up in the subsequent files that have come out, like a Peter Thiel or a Steve Bannon, who are hanging out, or at least were scheduled to hang out with him later, he, was swearing off Epstein from the beginning. I really don't know. And this is the thing with Lutnick, is it's hard to get people in the administration to really talk too badly about him, but he's definitely gotten on some nerves, and he is not everyone's cup of tea.
So the Epstein stuff has been something that the White House and Republicans have tried to suppress, broadly speaking, Republicans, after, fomenting and riling up their fan base for so long about, we're going to release the Epstein files, we're going to show you everything that's there. This seems like it comes in and throws another very scintillating detail into the conversation, that Epstein has videos and that's how he made his money. So, like, where did that money go? I mean, come from? Who was paying him? Where are those videos? Is this the sort of thing that's beginning to bubble up on social media now?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing, is like, we have known that Jeffrey Epstein obsessively filmed so many rooms of these properties since this scandal began to unfold. I don't know, back in, we're talking like 2017, 2018 at that point, where this was already a point of fascination. And it's just a complete unforced error for Lutnick to be bringing this up when there have been
Is
a couple
it an error, or is there something there that people are going to want to hear about? I mean, he says he thinks those videos were traded in for Epstein's sweetheart deal with prosecutors. So he thinks that the prosecutors know that there are videos of people, and that was part of the way that he got a lighter sentence. Have you seen this bubble up online? I mean, I know there are so many fervent people out there who are demanding more on the Epstein files. Is this putting some chum in the water for them?
I think it is putting some chum in the water. I have not seen any, major accounts that tend to drive the conversation about this on the right seizing up on it.
That's surprising.
Well, I mean, I think you don't want to be hurting the home team now, Katie, do you? So that's one reason. But, the other is just that there have been some unifying moments that the Trump base has been able to kind of rally around. The shutdown is maybe a less, enthralling version of one, but you can still rally around the team there. I really think that if you look at the way the aftermath of the death of Charlie Kirk unfolded, that was a huge moment for everyone to kind of rally around a figure that they all like. Trump was able to hold effectively a rally for the first time in a while at that funeral. But yeah, Lutnick here is just opening another can of worms, and we keep seeing these self-owns until morale improves type moves. And I really don't know what to make of it this many months in.
Is this going to come up again once Congress is back in session and they have to swear in Representative Grijalva, who just won her special election?
Yes, absolutely. And once that vote pushes over the threshold, unless the Trump White House can successfully peel off a Lauren Boebert or a Nancy Mace or someone else.
The only logical explanation is this is bigger than Trump. We already kind of knew that, but I think we're getting a real sense. All the things they're doing to hide the list, right? To hide who's on it, indicates to me that it's been found by someone and there's more Republicans on it. Because presidents, there has been cover-ups around presidents, but this kind of cover-up is so wild that it's got to be bigger than Trump, right? Like, you've seen it. You've seen, this shutdown, in part, it wouldn't surprise me if Republicans are shutting down. I know it's not the only reason, because they want to take your health care and give more money to the rich and wealthy and well-connected. But, part of the reason has to be, let's take away the Epstein file story. They can't open them if Congress is closed, right? But then also, remember, Grijalva, she got elected in that special election down in Arizona. Did a great job, mind you. Very blue district, but she vastly outperformed the Democrats' 2024 general election results. So people wanted change there, and they moved leftward. And she's been open, saying I'll be the tipping point vote. I'll be the 218th vote, and they won't swear her in. Every other special election, whether it's been a Republican or a Democrat until this point, Johnson's been pretty quick at swearing them in so that the people of those districts can be represented in Congress. But with her, he was slow walking it, and well, now things are shut down, so I guess he's not going to do it, or he hasn't been doing it. All of this indicates to me that they are hiding something big. What Swalwell said has a point. This is the Jeffrey Epstein shutdown. There's hundreds involved.